Today I have a very concrete invitation to each one of us to think and act in a very particular way, just as if we were true virtuosos in everything we do. This word, we've all used it before, but probably we've never used it in the professional domain, in our business world. This is a word that is mostly used in the arts and particularly in music. It's normal and habitual to speak about a virtuoso pianist, a virtuoso guitar player, a virtuoso orchestra director, but we've never used it to refer as a virtuoso leader, a virtuoso manager, a virtuoso advertiser, a virtuoso creative, and I wonder why. Because this is a concept and a word that perfectly applies to the business world. If we go and find the definition of this word, we'll find that a virtuoso is a person full of virtues. You can see it has the same etymological root. And a virtue is defined as a habit of good action. And each virtue that exists has an opposite vice. A vice is a habit of wrongful or wicked action. And each one of us is all the time fighting and struggling to build virtues because it's hard, it's difficult, it requires a lot of attention and consciousness, and trying not to fall back to the vices. And it's an effort that we have to do all the time so that we can become more virtuous in everything we do. Now, what does this have to do with leadership? In many ways, our personalities define our capacity to lead. And our personalities are made up of two main elements. First of all, we have our temperament, and each one of us is born with their own temperament, with its flaws and with its strengths. But we all have a way to compensate for the shortcomings of our temperament, and that's by strengthening our character. And in order to strengthen our character, we have to build virtues in our life. So that's the way everything connects. But I want to go back to music. All of my education and experience has been in the corporate world, in business, but my hobby, my passion, all my life has been music. And I am convinced that these great virtuoso musicians that are touring the world, playing in these beautiful stages, and that consistently get from their audiences this beautiful, unplanned reaction at the end of their performances of a standing ovation, have a lot to teach us as business leaders, as communicators, as marketers. So I want to start by asking a question. How do they do it? What is it that they do? What is it that they have that they are able to create that reaction from their audiences? And I've been studying this for many years, speaking with musicians, orchestra directors, music critics, and trying to simplify my findings. I can tell you that when a musician or a group of musicians comply with three conditions, they're able to create that beautiful standing ovation reaction from their audience. The first condition that they have to comply with is that they have a method. And they will follow this method with rigor and discipline, and this is what is going to allow them to make them play their instruments with mastery in an extraordinary way from a technical perspective. The second condition they must comply with is that they have to assume the right attitudes on the stage, and this is what ultimately is going to define how well they connect with their audience, regardless if they are performing in a small concert hall or in a huge arena or stadium. And the third condition that they must comply with is that regardless of what they play, they have to do it with passion and with love. And this is what truly creates an emotional bond between the artist and his or her audience. If each one of you, just for a few seconds, close your eyes and think of a great concert that you've been in your life, I am sure that you will remember, you will recall that at a certain moment during that concert, you got goosebumps. You probably felt tickles in your stomach. You probably got tears in your eyes because these musicians were able to touch your hearts and create this emotional bond between what they were doing and you. So the musicians that comply with these three conditions, and I will repeat them, is method, attitude, and passion, are the musicians that we can call or we can consider virtuoso musicians. But today, I would like each one of you to try to open an imaginary door in your mind and try to think, what do you have to do? How do you have to shift your mindsets and your behaviors to become true virtuosos in what you do? And the answer, probably you can predict it, we have to focus our attention, and we have to put all of our energy exactly on the same three dimensions where musicians focus to become virtuoso musicians. We all need to have a method and follow that method with rigor and discipline that will allow us to do what we do with mastery in an extraordinary way. We have to assume the right attitudes in life, and that is going to allow us to better connect with the people around us. And we have to do what we do with passion and love so that the ordinary ceases to happen and the extraordinary starts to happen. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go in depth into each one of these three categories and trying to analyze it from the music perspective and using music as a metaphor and trying to extract those key learnings that is going to allow us, that are going to allow us to think and behave as true virtuosos.